Hello, um, this video is going to be quite dark, so I suggest you just listen to it. I haven't been able to verify this, but if I'm mistaken, um, you're allowed to call me on my shit. But um, if this is not the case, but there's I remember seeing in one of the Diary of a Wimpy Kid books, the Ugly Truth, the purple one. In the back, I remember seeing this quote by Whoopi Goldberg that says, "This is for children. This is for kids who like to read, or especially for those who don't like to read." And years later, I realized that how shameful that is, or what a shame that is, because if you don't like reading, then all you're going to read is Gyro for Wimpy Kid books, and let's all try to avoid that. Let's try to go a little further. Why am I saying this? Because recently PhilosophyTube put out a video called Ideology, and I think it really illustrates what the purpose and the approach of the channel is. I think I'll just name a few of the more confusing, no, not confusing, some of the more outstanding moments, let's just say. For one, Abi says that the video is about Jordan Peterson. I think it's called Jordan Peterson's Ideology. So, firstly, she says that Jordan Peterson, he put out a second book, a follow-up to 12 Rules for Life, like 12 more rules, and she says it's the exact same, but like less with less of the sciencey stuff and all that. So like it's more of the same, but more similar to a regular self-help book. But she says that in this one, Jordan Peterson is doing Phenomenology, and right out of the gate, I don't fucking believe you. I don't. Jordan Peterson spent the first years of his fame, of his mainstream fame, shit talking Derrida and Foucault, precisely because he doesn't understand them. He's mentioned that he thinks that Foucault is the only one that you can actually read, and he has completely dismissed Derrida, and because he can't understand him, and he's not interested in doing so. So like listening to this claim, I have not read the book, either book of his, or any, because he has 3, but we're talking about the self-help, the rules books. I haven't read either, but I've listened to many reviews of the first one, and so I have no idea if this is like the case of like Jordan Peterson engaging with phenomenology, but like if you cannot understand the postmodernists or the post-structuralists, which could be more accurate, a more accurate label, what makes you think that he's going to understand the phenomenologists like Derrida, Foucault? One of their biggest influences is Heidegger. So what? How is he going to understand the previous generation of thinkers um, who did sort of pave the way for those that he rails against. And well, second second outstanding moment is that she says, so phenomenology, what is it? It is famously very simple, and then she well, she mocks it. She basically spits on the face of like actual professional, thorough, philosophical, just academic writing. And then she says, well, okay, let's do something more simple because my audience cannot understand it. And like from the little paragraph that she displays on screen by Edmond Husserl, you can absolutely understand that he's just describing Husserl, that he's describing the apparatus of observation. He's describing seeing, sehen, the German word for seeing, for sight. I mean, it's more the verb, but and like that the basic sense for the perception of objects that exist, and the projection of images, like something that is like quintessential for the discipline of phenomenology. And then after doing these two things, saying that that Jordan Peterson is doing phenomenology, and that phenomenology is like obscure and all that, she proceeds to, after giving her definition, her example, which is actually pretty correct, like trying to like observe one space and its objects from various perspectives. She says this, third outstanding moment. She says, well, Jordan Peterson is doing phenomenology, but like he's telling us stories. He's telling us, he's using narratives to create meaning, or to assign meaning to like the typical Jordan Peterson stuff. And I'm like, all right, hold up. You might have gotten a little confused there, because phenomenology is mainly descriptive. It describes the objects that exist, their essence, the essence of existence itself, and the fact that it's only, that it only describes, that it's only descriptive, is like the biggest criticism that Camus makes at the beginning of the myth of Sisyphus. Like he like Camus lists a bunch of these thinkers, like Heidegger, Husserl, Jaspers, Chestov, a bunch of these guys, and he says, these people are just describing existence, which is useless, and like the real problem is just facing meaninglessness, etc., etc. The Camus shit. And Camus is very upfront, and very that's why he's like the entry point of philosophy for most people. Like he's very simple. He like not only in his writing, but also like his ideas. He's like, don't complicate, don't overcomplicate things. Just like he famously said, like in the book, he says like the realities that concern me can be like reached by the hand, are the reach of my hand. So like considering this, and that Abi has cited, not only cited the book on like 2 videos, but she has spoken on this topic of like on Camus specifically, and the absurd several times. You would assume that she has read the myth of Sisyphus, and for some reason she forgot like his critique of phenomenologists. So that's one thing, and the other is that she might have gotten confused with hermeneutics, which is related, not intrinsically, but is sort of related. Why? Hermeneutics is the discipline of interpretation, basically. Just like to do like most, like in a word, that's it. But I suggest you do further research. So, who did these sort of who was involved in this? Who did studies on hermeneutics? I can think of besides the post-structuralists like Foucault, like the hermeneutics of the subject, or Derrida. Paul Ricoeur is a very famous example, and I think that you can use him. Like Ricoeur is a very very good example, because he was notorious for trying to combine the phenomenology of the German people like Heidegger, Husserl, and Gadamer with hermeneutics, with like interpretation, and because like you're trying to combine description with interpretation. So again, take a work by and let's say phenomenologist, not an existentialist. I forgot to mention, why Camus was also more interested in just like existentialism, but not exactly in that vein, but at least more than he was in phenomenology. Like he really thought that it was like useless, that it could be discarded. What was I saying? That take like for example Side on Side, like the like Being and Time. That's it. And then the book by Heidegger. He does not do like interpretations of say the purpose of of humans, of living beings, why are they in the world, etc. He just says they are in the world, and you can understand them in these categories, and the human is like a being for death and all that. But then there's no there's nothing nothing of this sort of thing that you would find in a Jordan Peterson lecture or book. Jordan Peterson is a Jungian. He is more about using creation, foundational myths, religious symbols, religious texts, ancient tales, myths, all that, archetypes. He really wants to construct narratives and to create meaning, and to apply that to self-help, to psychology, and all that. Psychology that again, Jung, who was, and besides being a psychoanalyst, he was also a psychiatrist. So really, how is Jordan Peterson doing phenomenology if apparently he's not doing anything new in this book, and not only not only it's nothing new, but it's even less refined or less interesting or less novel than what he was proposing in 12 Rules for Life. It is simply beyond me. It's baffling. So after getting these, let's say, just slight inaccuracies out of the way, like another outstanding moment is, and I'll say that it's the final one, because then there's more to this topic that I want to discuss, and I just like nerded off terribly. So let's say the last moment. Okay, it's when Abi says PhilosophyTube. Okay, no. I have to keep on ranting on this. So she also talked about structuralism, and again she mocked like the style of in this case it was Roland Barthes. Why? I mean, like Roland Barthes, like his style is like, if you don't know what he's referencing, then maybe you can get a little lost. But his style is not particularly hard. It is not difficult to understand. And really, even when he speaks, like listen to him talk about whatever, like listen to a lecture or an interview. He's very eloquent, very capable of expressing himself in a way that I envy, actually, and that I hope to achieve one day. Well, let's just leave it at that, because I think that the jazz analogy is again pretty incomplete. That's just the nature of analogies, but at least it's I think it serves its purpose. So okay, again, last outstanding moment is Abi saying, philosophy. This is PhilosophyTube. Everything is wrong. The point is to be wrong in interesting ways. All right. So this was very revealing, or at least very affirmating or confirmating, because there's an much older video of her, the one about transphobia, the one about transphobia, which turned out to be surprisingly prophetic. She mentions, she says about the, let's say, the topic of this and the discussion, and the people that it concerns and all that. She says this is not Bertrand Russell and Wittgenstein is knocking down pints at the pub and discussing about mathematics. This is etc. And I realized then, okay, so she has other points to make. She has another goal. She has another purpose for this whole PhilosophyTube channel. So yeah, 20 minutes into the video, and I'm just going to like make the questions, and I'll hopefully just also like try to get to a conclusion. that would be that would be good. But so what is the point of PhilosophyTube as a project, as a channel? I wouldn't know because I am not the one conducting it. But what is then the purpose? What is its purpose, at least now, because it has evolved since the day that she started it in like 7 years ago, 8 years ago. She was only trying to make videos for students, for college students, university students that couldn't afford the tuition, at least in the UK, and like it was a student talking to other students basically, in like very short videos, with like easily very easy to process information, and like this again very casual delivery. um, one of these videos was accused of being of commodifying philosophy by this channel. I forget the name of the channel. It stars a philosophy professor, Moeller or something like that. But that's his last name. But he's not the sole person, running the channel. But like the professor makes this video on one of her earliest uh, videos, like the one about Kant, and he says something about you know if this video that is kind of careless with how it presents the these Kantian concepts, and then tries to make it more about the presenter, then this is a form of commodification of philosophy, and it can. I'm not going to go further because that would be I would be misremembering, and I don't want to represent any thoughts. But let's just run with this idea of commodifying philosophy, because the point is, yes, something of that sort of, like watering down something that is very complex just to try to make it accessible, but almost making it less comprehensible, just because if there is something that can be mistaken, if there is a mistake, and someone who is using the material to learn, for example, to do an assignment, and they like write what they saw in the video, but the teacher, the information is contradictory to what the teacher expects, that could be a problem. Or let's leave that let's leave that aside. Like there's no assignment, just like you think you learned, like the person thinks they learned, and then they do their own research, and it turns out it's the other way around, and they get confused, like which one is it really. So yeah, it is best to be even if you're just doing like videos to present this admittedly dense and heavy information uh, for a general audience of students, because again, like philosophy is not a very marketable or profitable um, area of knowledge, or it's not an object of wild interest. So like if you're looking up philosophy videos, maybe it's not really for entertainment. You either have to do it because you're studying, or or if you do it, it's because you're like an aficionado, you're like an amateur. So like yeah, it's not something that you casually watch or learn. It's something that really it's a big compromise, because it's a lot of reading, it's a lot of research, it's a lot of thinking to Okay, so uh, let's get back to. I was talking about the professor, then the concept of commodification of philosophy, and okay, yeah. So I agree that um, that teaching philosophy then should be then. I mean what I agree on is that the original source is the best. Like it's the most trustworthy, or at least the best way, the best functional way to learn philosophy, and then because you can come to your own conclusions afterwards, like you learn, you think, like you rationalize it, and then you say I agree, I don't agree, and the reason that videos like PhilosophyTubes exist is because this is a challenge for a lot of people. Like some don't want to read at all, others want to read but they struggle because the format, because of the format is very like heavy, dense, not very enjoyable, or it's too many new words, etc. That's why it's not something that you casually pick up. It's like the electric guitar compared to like the acoustic guitar. You can casually pick up the acoustic one, but not the electric one if you like want to like do solos and all that. So yeah, that's why these videos exist. And but in the case of videos, I would argue still that lectures by professors and professionals are much better, much more reliable, and you should be wary of YouTube videos by you know artists and all that, or just like people like me. Let's just say it. I'm nearing the end of the point, so oof, yes. So like this reflection, what is it about? What why do I care about PhilosophyTube and its place on YouTube and in its function and all that? If it's not exactly just teaching philosophy, it never was, because I mean, to my to my point of view, like if you are going to teach something, you should only teach it without interfering, without letting yourself in any way come through. Because in the very first video on the PhilosophyTube channel, which is about Descartes, she still says, but wait, this doesn't make any sense. There's a contradiction here about the cogito, about the cogito. I think, therefore I am, the Cartesian model of the psyche, of the being. So yeah, I thought, whoa, that why are you doing this, right? But it's not an it's not an incorrect approach. It's not wrong. And some people would find it more helpful that way, like to immediately question something, even if they've only gotten like a little piece of the whole information. Um, and yeah, and in the other videos, like what I mentioned, that in the transphobia video, she's talking about. Let's segue into that really. If it's not about strictly teaching philosophy, if it's about like being wrong in interesting ways, okay, then what is it about? And you see like her videos, at least those that she's been doing since 2018, and what are they about? Work, sex work, misogyny, racism, mental health, transphobia, queerness. These are social issues that affect marginalized and vulnerable people, vulnerable groups. So I think that it is very good that she has her place, which is very well deserved, as a as a speaker on these topics, as someone who provides information on these topics, and like research that she cites and then she shares. I hope that she. I mean, I liked it when she did this and the book recommendation videos, because she showcased a lot of people who a lot of writers who are not uh, popular, um, but who are not in the philosophy canon, but they are more contemporary. They discuss again these themes. They they are not recognized enough, and the work that they are doing is very interesting, and it is fantastic. So it is great, how she is using her platform, like you see, for example, under the more personal and intimate videos that she's put out. The comments, like the positive feedback, because like the people, it really helps people, like, deeply. So um, I think that it is much better, that she's able to do this, than than it is much better, this result and this method, which, by the way, the theatrics, they do not take away of the from the present like from the presentation of information at all. Like, for the most part, it doesn't. It's not distracting. And again, like, she's an actress. She's an artist. She's a writer. She's a director. She's a filmmaker. In any case, um, so like that's just a way of her of expressing herself, and that's cool. In fact, like I've said, a lot of people do not really care about the philosophy. They care more about the characters and that she plays and all that. So yeah, I think that it is much better that she's doing this, and like the result, than my gripes with not having like a big channel that is teaching philosophy. So what is there? What does the future hold for people who do want to maybe learn philosophy? I've said it's not something that you learn casually, but what if it were? What if it was? I would try. Like, I want to, because I like discussing philosophy. I like reading philosophy. I like listening to lectures and conferences, and I like hearing other people talk about philosophy. And after all, it is present in so many aspects of our society, of our history, and of our daily lives. And some are more noticeable than others, but it's still something that I think deserves to be more known. That's all. And maybe there's still the challenge of how do we make this interesting for people? How do we, surpass the jargon? How do we introduce like the more abstract themes, ideas, to people who are completely new to them? maybe the answer is not here just yet. Again, I would like to to be that person, to do that, but I'm still doing other stuff, so who knows, maybe. Well, this has been just a long ramble about PhilosophyTube and like the teaching of philosophy in the internet, on the internet, how people react, me mainly, but also like the people who consume this content, like what do they expect of it, and what sometimes bothers me, but I have to acknowledge that it's not a crime to like make mistakes, or to in the process of facilitating information to other people. So yeah, that's pretty much all I had to say. Thank you. Thanks for watching.